All right, we're live. And some people waiting right at the door, much appreciated. Glad everyone's filing in. We're going to give everyone a second to file in. Thanks for everyone who's here right on time. We're excited for today's webinar. I think it's going to be a good one. And oh yeah, tons of people filing in. This is fantastic. It's going to be a good discussion today for sure. Oh wow. Thanks everyone for being so on the money.
Yeah.
Here right on time. We'll get started here in just a minute. Don't want to have to introduce ourselves again. Want to make sure that everyone gets, the full experience. So we'll give everyone another minute or so before we start diving in. All right. Seems like we've hit a critical mass of people here early. For everyone who joins late or is watching via recording, this will be recorded, so everyone can come back and watch the whole thing from start to finish, even if you have to leave or join in the middle. So with that, welcome everyone to NetCapital's live Q&A with our friend Frank from Talla. Frank, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Rob. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. We're looking forward to diving in here. And also on the call today, we have, I believe the first time ever on a NetCapital webinar, Tom Smith, a member of the NetCapital team. He and I are going to be working together to kind of grill Frank and get everything out we can about Talla and what they're up to.
Oh, thanks, Rob. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, of course. So with that, thanks to all the attendees. We're excited to have you here, and thanks to everyone who's watching, on YouTube or via the recording. It's great to have you here. What we're going to do today is we're going to do a deep dive on Talla with their CEO. We're going to ask some questions, try to understand what Talla is, what they do, and the investment opportunity. Talla is currently live on NetCapital. They're raising funds. So anyone who wants more information about Talla can go to netcapital.com/company/Talla. I'll also include over the course of this webinar and in the description of this video, we'll include a link to their page so that people can go and learn more. And if you want, you can invest in Talla today for as little as $100. Anyone's allowed to. There will also be a portion here where anyone attending can ask questions. You'll notice in your Zoom, there is a Q&A function down at the bottom. For anyone who has questions throughout the entire show, please feel free to put your questions in the Q&A and I'll ask them kind of along the way. And for anyone watching online, if you've got further questions for the Talla team, there's a discussion board on their NetCapital page that they monitor, and they'd be happy to, I'm sure I'll speak for you, Frank, that they'd be happy to take any questions you have.
Definitely, yes.
Perfect. So with that, again, Frank, thank you so much for joining us.
All right, thanks, Rob. Couldn't be happier to be here. Really appreciate the opportunity to talk about what we're doing. We're really excited about it, and hopefully, we can talk a little bit about what we do, and other people can get a good look at it, and I think they'll be excited as well. So thanks for having me. Couldn't be happier.
Awesome. Well, why don't we kick it off with just kind of give us a brief overview of Talla. What is Talla? What do you do?
Okay, well, Talla is an AI-driven process automation company. We're headquartered in Boston. We have team members all around the world, and I'm being a little specific, but right now I think we have people spanning from Pittsburgh to Korea, around the globe. We initially focused on a small slice of the commercial AI market, doing smart chat and smart agents. We were one of the first in that space. And as we worked with our customers, we realized that they had larger challenges. So for example, customers struggled to program their bots and their knowledge systems with the best answers to their customers' questions. There was that evolution of this. And then we realized that their challenge with making sure their bots or their AI systems were trained to recognize certain types of questions posed in natural language, sort of the way you and I are speaking right now. It's not explicitly structured. could be a little bit different each time that we speak, but we generally understand each other, and that's the way they want to do business. They don't want to rigidly ask questions and speak in the language of computers. That's not a great way for you to interact with the system. So we went out and solved that. We made it so that you can speak to the systems, you can interact with these systems as you would other humans. And one of the things we realized is some of our people that were sharing that space, you'd have to write the same question 150 different ways, and that's not an exaggeration. Like I won't name the competitor in this space, but one of them requires you to write 150 different ways the question you'd ask, and that's really just not fair or a great way to do this. So we solved for that. And in addition, companies struggle with the same same issues with like their live agents, not just their automated systems. So if you're a service agent, a knowledge worker, a customer service rep, a salesperson, you have teams that operate with very uneven knowledge. So you have some people just starting off, and then you have some people in the middle, and then you have your stars, right? So your best reps have answers or know where to find them, and the others, especially the new ones, they spend hours each day searching for ways to help their customers. We found in our research, and it's been quoted in a few other papers, that customer service reps and knowledge workers spend up to 2 hours each day just searching for information, which is a considerable drain on resources when you could be using that to help your customer if you just had the information. Like, searching for the information is not helping the customer and is not helping the person doing the job. What delivering the information is. So we helped out with that. Talla does that very well. We have a software platform that our customers do that. And then from there, we looked at sometimes the answer to what you're trying to do. It's not just one thing that we do is we'll give you the exact answer, not just return the document that you're looking for in that part of the retrieval process. But sometimes the answer is another process, or it feeds you to another system. That is called, and I'm going to try to cut down on the acronyms because I don't like to use them, but that's the CRPA process, or cognitive robotic process automation. And we help our customers by allowing them to build custom workflows so that you can have maybe multiple ways to arrive at a successful solution. So and today we work with a lot of companies to do this, and some of our best customers on the leading edge of things are companies like PayPal, Mutual of Omaha, Toast, Avero, to name just a few. But there's a new way of doing business, and we like to think of ourselves as being on sort of the leading edge of that. So that's what Talla does.
That's great, Frank, and thank you for that great overview. Very thorough, and really gives, I think, a great overview of what Talla does, like you said. Could you tell us and the folks that are on, and then those that will be listening in the future, just about the team at Talla, and what are their backgrounds, and what really makes you guys unique, successful, and special?
Sure. Thanks, Tom. And I love this question. The shame of it is I would talk about the team for the whole session if I could, but I'm gonna give you the short answer. And so we have a very sharp, diverse, inquisitive team with an AI focus, right? And so our co-founder, Dr. Byron Galbraith, he's a PhD in cognitive and neural systems and an MS in bioinformatics. And basically that means Byron's an expert in artificial intelligence and natural language processing. It gives us a big edge in the way we conduct our research, and just the way we work as a management team. It's very conversant, and it allows us to challenge each other and try each other's ideas out. our newly minted chief product officer, shout out to Adeyemi Adepitu. He has multiple degrees from MIT, and he guides our product strategy. Yemi works with Byron and I to make sure we're putting forth the great products that help our customers. He's incredibly customer centric, so it helps to have a product expert who not only knows like what we need to do as a business, but he's always looking at like, is this worth it for the customer? Am I doing the right thing for the customer? Is this going to make a difference in the market? Is it really going to move the needle? And having a person like that head up, your product division really helps us stay on point. Our releases are managed by a very talented Holly Fletcher, and she has a background in video game programming. So they're very used to keeping to deadlines and making sure everything ships. And so not only does she do a lot of development, but she also is making sure that we're sticking to our schedule. Rachel Sells, she helps us with our product design, and we have a great and competitive revenue team. So the revenue team that's bringing our product to market is I would say they're friendly and competitive, which is exactly what you want out of your revenue team. And one of our technical stars is a guy named James Lawrence, and he's a wide range of technical abilities, very security focused. He's not only a great ideas guy, but he's also like our team goalie to make sure like nothing gets past, everything is locked up, and it's very security. He's just he's very attention to detail oriented. So our team is full of people with diverse backgrounds because we serve diverse customers, and our culture is what makes it all work, because we have the kind of culture where people will challenge each other, ask each other questions. It's a very flat structure when it comes to how we go about thinking through ideas. Everybody plays their role, but I think what makes us work the way we work and work so well is because everyone is open to speak their mind, and we're all coming from different points of view, but it's just everybody is focused on getting the best product out the door for our customers. And so that's working for us, and it's something that definitely we're going to continue as we scale out here.
Sounds like a fun team to work for. Sounds like you put together a really impressive group of people.
It is, and although we have not talked about this, it makes for really fun company game nights and stuff like that. Just a wide range of really funny answers. Great sense of humor across the team. So yeah.
Well, hopefully you've been able to kind of do those and keep that up over Zoom or however you guys are staying connected these days.
Yes, yeah, we've done a few over Zoom, and they've actually worked. I was like, do we need one more thing over Zoom? But it's going well for us, and I think we're gonna keep it up. So
good. Sometimes it's nice to actually have some fun over Zoom and not just have a meeting.
Exactly. Yeah.
But no, appreciate the deep dive into the team. And as I mentioned before, I put in the chat here a link to the Net Capital page for Talla. So if people want to read more about the team and dive in deeper, you can follow that link. And thanks to everyone who's already put questions in the Q&A. We've got them here, we see them, and we're gonna get to them here shortly. But before we do that, Frank, I wanted to dive in a little bit on from a customer perspective. What is their pain? What is their problem that Talla is kind of, hell-bent on solving? I know you talked about it a little bit in the intro, but I wanted to kind of dive deeper on that.
Yes. So I put a lot of thought into, I eventually expected, a question like this. So I want to try to make it as applicable to everything that we do as I can, but still give you a good answer. So our mission, and I repeat this quite a bit. So our mission is to make all of your people your best people. And when you think about what separates your stars in your organization from your others, it's about knowledge, skills, the ability to spot opportunity, and then to tie it all together and act on it before anyone else, right? And that's what you try to do as a company. It's what you try to do in your job. It's what we're all trying to do in the marketplace, right? Like, if you can do that well, then you're going to win. And that's what we want to do for people. So just at a high level, that's what our software is trying to do, right? We essentially level the playing field by automating the flow of knowledge, so that every employee who has access and permission to the knowledge gets the answers they need, and they find the best answer to the question, and then they can use AI to help every other team member down the road anticipate and predict and get the best set of solutions, processes, answers in front of people. So you can help spot opportunities. The types of questions you're asking might indicate an upsell or a cross sell, or you might want to switch them over to a different set of people and make sure that your win back team is going to help them. And so a lot of value comes from cooperation and process coordination. That's where the robotic process automation comes in. It's really what it is. It's just a seamless way to connect the best people in a lot of cases. Sometimes you can solve things from end to end, but sometimes you need people, and when you do, we're going to make sure that it goes nice and smoothly. So we're there to help our customers also keep their institutional knowledge and process expertise in-house. One of the things that we heard a lot is, I have these superstars on my team, and I wake up every day and I'm wondering, are they going to walk out the door? Because that's someone that I can't afford to lose. And every company has people like that, right? So, great people may come and go, but if you build up your knowledge and your knowledge base, when people move on, you don't have to start from scratch, and you have a legacy of what they've left to help you build on. So our software is working to draw upon your knowledge bases and your document stores and your processes, so that instead of having to start from zero, you build on top of what your organization's already done. So that's the short answer. If you want me to expand on it, I can. Would you like me to keep going?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
it sounds like we can dive even deeper here.
All right, I want to make sure that I'm answering your question here, because this part is really interesting to me. So we automate these processes and connect systems, and we use natural language processing, which is parsing the kind of like how you and I are speaking right now, and we use artificial intelligence in order to do predictive modeling and start to try to interact in such a way that looks and feels like you're dealing with someone the way you're used to doing business. It's not uncomfortable, it's natural, and it flows. And so we're able to implement our solution, connecting people, systems, and agents in a matter of weeks, instead of taking months or a 12-month engagement and assessment, and then where you can just come in looking at what some of your problems are, and a lot of times we can solve a lot of your immediate needs in a matter of weeks. And in some cases, we take problems that took months to solve, and we can do them, and we can reduce that down to minutes. For instance, finding answers to questions that are really hard or have been duplicated, or you didn't ask the question the same way. We can do that out of the box. Managing knowledge. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was, we had an audience question that kind of, I think, might fit in here is, when you talk about being able to kind of solve these problems out of the box and do them very quickly, so one of our attendees asked, what data sets do you use to train the software? Is that how you do it?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Thank you, whoever asked that. So we work with most of the major knowledge bases out there now. We work with Salesforce. We can dock into Zendesk. We can use Slack conversations, ticketing systems, Word documents, CSVs. Pretty much by now, most major knowledge bases we use. So we can ingest that and make it readily available to people who want to use it. And I'll take that a step further. So keeping it fresh, making sure when things go in the knowledge base that then they make it back out to be used by your team, that in itself is a very burdensome process. So, but we take care of that. So if you update your knowledge base and you're using Talla, the tools that are connected to Talla then have that readily available. So as we're conducting this information through your organization, you may only need to change it in your single source of truth, and we make sure that everywhere it needs to feed, that we're connected, that you gave us the ability to, we get it there. And so people who have implemented knowledge bases, like maybe as our audience member who asked, will know that having a knowledge base doesn't mean that you solve the issue. It means that you may have the answer, but anybody who's ever implemented one knows that putting information in is pretty easy. Getting it out is sometimes tragically difficult, right? But we take care of that. We make it very easy to do. Valuable knowledge is sometimes buried in Slack. If you've ever tried to use keyword search in Slack, Jira, Confluence, or other CRM systems, those are all great systems individually. We love them. We work with them in tandem and in partnership in a lot of cases. But important knowledge, it often gets buried. So we work inside of those systems to bridge them all together and get you back the information or the process, or funnel you to the place that you need to be based on that. And so, yeah, we connect it all together, and then we integrate with all that. We do the work that you don't have to. So it's not a seven-figure type deal for us to come in and do that in a lot of cases. It's just, we come in and we can connect your knowledge bases and your ticketing systems and get you up and running in less than a few weeks. And right now that's a big win for a lot of folks, even before they start to use some of our ready-made process automation. So yeah.
And
yeah.
No, that's great. And a follow-up question from the same user is, so what happens when in your software, what does your software do when you can't find the answer?
Another great question. So there's two things that we work with our clients, and there's a couple different ways to handle this. One is, well, there's three. One is it'll try to find the answer, and it'll say, is any of this what you were looking for? And if you say no, one of the things that differentiates us in the marketplace is, as soon as it misses, it goes to what is called a human in the loop. If you have one on standby, they can answer the question and direct that back into your knowledge base. Or if they're looking there and monitoring, they can actually find the answer in live or offline, and then connect the answer to that question or to that query. If that doesn't solve the problem, or say it takes multiple steps of clarification, I'm just using this example. If it's a question about banking and finance, your local jurisdiction is going to drive the way you're allowed to answer those questions. Like the banking laws in Europe are different than they are here, or different than they are, in the Middle East. So the things you can say are different. So you may need to ask a series of clarifying questions, and we allow you to build that out. So it could follow that all the way down. And then once it gets to the like, okay, now I'm going to flip you over to the team in that spot, but it's going to come with all the information, so you don't have to do all that work. So it takes this big burden off your organization. And obviously it makes a better experience for your customer. But if you think about what you're doing for your employees, you're also taking away where everybody's working these jobs. We're all dealing with, our dogs, my dog's running around in Zoom, and, everybody's trying to stay focused and do a great job. And the people that we're dealing with are great people, but it's a challenge to stay focused, right? And so you take off the top maybe 70% of questions, which are repetitive questions and repetitive tasks, and you move that onto the system, so that you can get the questions that require people to people. And I think that's an important part about just general product awareness and the way you build things is you build technology should serve people and not the other way around, right? And so that's sort of a guiding light in the way we do things, but sometimes gets forgotten. You shouldn't cram your life into the way technology is supposed to work. Technology should make your life easier, not the other way around. So yeah.
That resonates really hard with me. There's a lot of email and Slack messages going back and forth.
Yeah, yeah, and it's one of those things where it's no longer, that's not a cliche. Like that should be abundantly clear to anybody who's lived through the past 12 months that you know now which of your systems are making your life easier and which of them are actually like you're working for. And at Talla, we only build products that make your life easier and work for you.
No, thanks, Frank, and thank you for answering that question such in depth about, the problem that your company's solving. But before we move on to the next question, I just want to point something out because I've been watching you speak now for 27 minutes, and though we can't advise on investments at Net Capital, this is me personally. When I look at something, I always, like to speak with upper level management or founders or CEOs when I'm thinking about, do I like this company or not, and see how they interact with the team. Every time you mention the team and talk about it, I see you smile from ear to ear. So it's just, you can just tell you love what you guys do. You love the team that you've built, and just, it's coming off in a contagious way. And I know our listeners are coming, definitely hearing that.
I'm glad you said that, because I've been sitting here since the last question regretting that I didn't name more of the team. So thanks for giving that shout out, because we do have a great team, and it is great to work with them. So thank you.
No, it comes off in the way you speak, and I know that's just who you are, but it really just, you can tell, and we at Net Capital pride ourselves on that. And clearly, I think everyone that comes across you at Talla clearly pride yourself on the team that, you're only as good as your team. So just
Correct.
wanted to make a note of that. And so, Frank, moving on to the next question here. Looking at the market here and really the opportunity, how big would you say is the market opportunity for your product?
So that's a great question, and it depends on several things. I'd like to say thank you to our team at our friends at Glasswing who helped us try to figure this out. They're supporters of the company and have been really instrumental in our success. And so we tried to figure this one out, right? And so there are the robotic process automation market is about $19 billion annually in revenue, right? And it's growing quickly because, as you see, like there's not only so many things going on, but our world is having an Internet of Things connect to it, which then create more problems. And so, you connect your thermostat and something happens, and then you connect your grocery delivery up, and there's more and more compounding things that need to be automated, that need to be managed. So the process automation side of things is 19 billion, but growing quickly. The latest research I have says it's growing to 42 billion inside of 5 years. Some of it, I saw one that says it's $42 billion now. So it's large. The knowledge management space is globally $357 billion, which is not a typo. And if you think about it, that just makes sense because there's just so much knowledge out there, and there's so many systems just churning out information, and that's not going to get smaller. Like it's growing quickly. So where we sit is a way to retrieve knowledge and then automate the processes that you use the knowledge for. So the answer is it's at least as big as those two things, but it's going to grow along with it as fast as we can. Our challenge is how we sequence our growth and which systems we connect with and who we partner with as we go, like as much as we can capture, which I imagine would be your next question, right? But how big is it? It's, like I said, it's, the knowledge management piece is $357 billion, and the robotic process automation is 19 billion. And even just the information retrieval piece, even that is several $1 billion already. So if you just build a chat bot, that's just that piece of it is several $1 billion in annual revenue now. So we're in definitely a different world where we're automating the use of knowledge to deliver it when it's needed. We want to do it instantaneously. We want to make it really easy for you to get it. And then we want to make the value of that knowledge apparent and deploy it for you. So that's when we're thinking about the way you use your product or our product. It's not just getting things back from these giant data lakes, data stores, and then handing you, hey, there's the answer. That's not the way the world works. And I'll use a very unscripted, untested analogy. So hopefully I don't stick my foot in my mouth here. But if you walked into a store and said, it's cold, I need a coat, and somebody's like, well, we have North Face, Carhartt, and Canada Goose. The way the world works is you don't say that, like, okay, thanks, and turn around and walk out, right? Like, what happens then is somebody says, well, would you like to get sized? Is it a gift? Would you like to look at some samples? There's a whole other set of things that go on the back of this, and the world is now starting to marry just the concept of having the data, which before it didn't. Now it has the data, and there's a open universe of things that you can do. That's just why I'm so excited to be in the space at this time, because there's not the way to do it, right? And we think we have a great way to do it. And we like to think of ourselves as like, we're up there trailblazing, leading the way, finding the way every day, like the best way to enable this new way of doing business. And on top of all that, it is, as sort of sad as the pandemic it is, it's forced the world to look at what it probably would have been like 20 years from now had it not happened. But because of the conditions that we're living under, we have to now do business like this. We have to put these systems in place. And every day that we get up and do what we do at Talla, we can go to sleep and we can say, all right, well, we helped some people today. Like, we helped customers, we helped, people on your team, our customers, their team members. We helped anybody they interacted with. And it's a good way of looking at what is a pretty challenging situation, but it's filled with opportunity and a way to do things right. And necessity is driving it. And, the tired quote about necessity, so I'm not going to repeat it, but we're out there pushing our way through it. So I know that's not the original question you asked, but the opportunity is massive. It's as big as you can imagine it.
Yeah, no, Frank, I think you covered it A through Z there, and thank you for the answer. And I think, right, with every, problem, and COVID obviously, was a massive problem, really kind of paralyzed the world globally. There is an opportunity that underlies with every problem. And I think, you spoke of that so eloquently about, kind of the opportunity that there is. But before we jump to the next question, just a question that came in from one of our listeners. You talked about how big the market is. What is your plan to go to market?
So we have an internal facing product that helps agents. So we go there and we sell a SaaS license. It's by seat if we price it internally for your knowledge workers or anybody working inside your organization. We split about 60-40. On the customer facing side, if you're using a customer facing system, and it doesn't need to be just the website, it could be any way a customer interacts with your system. We do it by the number of operations we perform on your behalf. So that way we always make sure there's a margin for you on the customer side of things. And then on on the internal seat SaaS, traditional SaaS license or software as a service for anybody out there who is just hearing that term for the first time. We priced it in such a way such that it grows with you and it's predictable, and we actually let you, as a function of the product, you can plug in how much your cost per hour is in terms of labor, and we show you how much money and time you're saving by using our product. We don't try to hide it. We show it right there in the dashboard, and you can actually see, be like, oh, I saved, $80,000 this month by using the software. We put it right there front and center. So 2 ways to go to market, front and center, we will do direct sales, intros, Google AdWords. We'll go and we'll sell you a seat license for the internal side. Otherwise, we have a lot of people contacting us through, directly, but through our channel partners as well, in some cases where they're saying, like, do you have anything to help us on the, on the web side of things, or on the front facing customers, facing side of things? Can you help us make it more efficient in dealing with them? And a lot of that's done in partnership with people who already have like analytics packages and things like that, who have, a pre-existing presence with the customer. So I hope that answered your question. But yeah,
absolutely.
And then, Frank, can you just speak a little bit about we've talked a lot about what the product is and what it does. Can you just talk about the progress the company's made so far? What stage is Talla at? How far have you come, and what are the next major milestones you're looking to achieve?
So looking at what we've done quite a bit. I'm always going to say we got to do more. We got to do more. And I know there's some people on the team that are of the same mind, but we're working with some great companies. PayPal's right out there in front. They're really smart. Mutual of Omaha, Toast is another one of those kind of companies that's really innovative and doing more and more with us. And so our goal is to keep expanding our customer base a lot, in terms of logistics, banking and finance, telecom, hospitality, retail. Those are the industries that are changing because of the world that we're living in now. So it'll work in pretty much anybody who has these type of knowledge problems, but those are the ones we're focusing on right now because there's such an imperative to change. And while we're going after those larger customers and helping them out, we also are taking in mid-market companies too. So you get a lot of value out of, instead of adding labor, working on your business strategy, your go-to-market, just like we are. So if you're a mid-market company looking to grow, we're there for you as well too. We're not just working with Fortune 500s. We're looking at the people and the companies who are like, look, I need 500 people to do this, but I can only hire 50. We're not saying don't hire people at all. What we're saying is hire the right amount of people, and sometimes you can't wait and you got to just get going. And so we like to think of ourselves as partners in growth. So if you have a company in that mid-market space that's growing, we're there for you. We're gonna work with you. So as a SaaS provider, we regularly release product updates to help people across the stack. We release 1 to 3 times per week new features. I know that's a really fast clip. If we could, we would probably release more because there's that much opportunity out there. But we would like to see our process automations make it into every customer that we currently serve and every customer we don't currently serve yet. We think we can help just about everybody because everybody has knowledge and process problems. So for every system we connect, we help more people, we help speed the process along, and yeah, I mean, those are the milestones of where we've gotten the big customers, we've got the leading edge mid-market companies, and I would say where we're looking to take the company now is, obviously we'll scale out in the big companies, but I want the mid-market companies too, because they're all going to grow, and with technology to level the playing field, I mean, they could all be Fortune 500 companies in short order, because you don't have to do it the long way anymore, right? If you pick the right tech, you can get there a lot quicker. And so I would like to be a difference maker in that market. And that's no offense to our larger customers, because we're out there helping you too. We want to keep you in your spot, but we're willing to improve the business processes behind anybody that sees a need for Talla in their organization.
And that's awesome. And we love at Net Capital like kind of fast growing businesses and the power of technology to make things more efficient. So certainly resonates with us, and I think it's super cool. And we live in a world where, yeah, you're exactly right. A lot of this tech allows people to compete faster and grow faster than ever before. It's exciting times for sure. We have got a ton of audience questions. So I think at this point, it might make sense to, obviously we don't want to go too quick, but I think it might make sense for a little rapid fire to make sure we can try and get through as many of these as possible. Mind if I start firing some at you?
Yeah, I'll buzz in. Let me know. Let's go.
All right. So right off the bat, who are your toughest competitors and how will you beat them?
Oh, okay. Well, we really respect Ada Support and Guru. And the way we look at them is we are easier to train, easier to get up and going on. Our NLP systems are a lot easier to talk with. Plus, we are putting a lot more into the robotic process automation side of things. And so we love those companies as competitors because they're doing a great job in the market, but we're right in there swinging with them. And we think we obviously are a little biased, but we think we're going to come out on top. At the top end of the market, you have companies like Blue Prism, UiPath, and Automation Anywhere. Those are giant, automation companies. The way we look at the world, it doesn't work like, where, Bell Labs used to own the phone, the wire, the people in the bottom routing the calls, the other wires that's all the way to the other end. Nobody owns a technical system end to end anymore. Automation will work the same way, where it'll become fractured, and the best people, the best technologies will win out in the segment of automation. And we are right now working to disrupt the automation market by filling in the best the best spots there. So maybe not as rapid fire as it could have been, but I feel like that question was important enough for us to address that way.
No, absolutely. It was a great question. I think we have another great one coming up next as well, which is, does your software incorporate feedback from questionnaires as to how good the answers are, and how is the feedback captured?
The answer is yes. Did that question come from someone that works at Talla? Because that's a great question. We do a couple of things that are really interesting. So yes, it'll ask you if it was helpful. It allows the trainers to then go and pick a better answer if they think one that belongs there. And I'll give you an example with sort of how we work with like Slack. Sometimes people say, well, I tried putting a bot inside of Slack and it was really noisy, so I don't install it. So one of the things that we've done is, you can ask it a question and it's like, hey, I think I have the answer to this. Is this the answer that you're looking for? And if you say yes enough times, and that's the key being enough times, and enough is a complex question, but if you say yes enough times, then it just will answer the question and you won't have to say, yeah, go ahead and yeah, that helped me. But the answer is absolutely, and anybody, even if you're competing with us, please, for the love of the customers that are using these things, keep that in mind. Make sure that you're using the feedback of the customer and the people on the other side of it to respect what they want and get them what they need, because we all need to do the things that way to make it better for the customer.
That makes a ton of sense. And following right up on that, will you share some metrics about how effective your product is?
Yes. We like to talk about this. So we can answer up to 90% of the questions once it's fully trained. And that usually only takes about, like I said, 21 to 30 days. We can answer about 90% of the questions. Now, that doesn't mean that you need to reduce your workforce by 90%. I want to make sure that that's very clear, because during this pandemic, I myself have called up to get something from a vendor, and they've said, you're number 73 in the queue and your estimated wait time is, an hour and 20 minutes. That means that you never got to me, right? So it's not saying that like you need less of that. You can do a lot more with less people, but you might be dropping a lot of opportunity on the floor. And so like that's an important thing to remember when you're dealing with it. So 90% of the question you could shield people from. The internal teams are answering 25% more queries and questions at a time, which means imagine if everybody on your business team was able to address 25% more opportunities. Like, what could that do for your bottom line? And the people on the front support lines are answering things across the board. It's actually gotten better. We haven't updated the stats yet, but the most recent ones are that we've published: 10% across the board improvement in your support team response time. So yeah, so that we have hard metrics. We even have a case study done by one of our customers who estimated that we saved them in their first year of implementation $2 million just by automating our platform. And it was in the middle of they were a mid-market growth company. It's toast. They're on our website. So I'm not trying to be I'm not trying to obfuscate the one there, but we're really proud of that. And those are real numbers. And we didn't even conduct that study. That was their study that they shared with us. So so thanks to them, and we look to try to do that for all of our customers.
That's perfect. And that actually, the next question was, how much does a customer typically save with Talla? So it feels like you got right out ahead of that one.
Yeah, it really depends on the way you've configured your organization, but there's a lot of ways to save, right? You can save on not repeating things down the chain. So if you're a logistics company, you need to put something back on, in for delivery. You got to relabel it, kick off a thing to print the thing, to put it back in the bin, goes back on the truck. All of those things have costs associated with it. So there's a lot of cascading savings down there. But just measuring like people's time, we're saving hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars in the deployments when you see just a few hundred to 1,000 agents, right? So but you're gonna see savings just even if you have a 50-person team. So it starts working the minute you're like, I wish I had more bandwidth to do this. And if you have a growing business, you have that problem already. So we're going to save you a good chunk of change just by bringing us on board when you start to feel that pressure.
It's awesome stuff, Frank. And like you said, it's definitely fills a void. So next question from one of our attendees. For the customer, is the platform, it's a two-part question. For the customer, is the platform cloud-based or on-premise is the first part?
Okay, so the answer is we'll do either. We are primarily a cloud-based platform, but we know in cases such as, some banking and some HIPAA specific, types of situations that we have to be on premise. And so we've done both.
That's perfect, because part two was, have there been any concerns regarding HIPAA or other regulatory data requirements for security? And it sounds like you guys have thought through that A through Z. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Correct. Yes. And I'll even, in part of when I had one of my early successes was a consulting company where a lot of our companies were HIPAA companies. So I myself I'm not only the CEO of Talla, but I've been a developer in a HIPAA environment before. So I understand the intricacies of what we're dealing with and what we need to do. Not to mention, our company by culture is privacy first, least privilege anyway, so, which should be common practice. But you want to make sure that you're looking to safeguard privacy at every possible turn. But in some cases, like the HIPAA or the banking situations, like you just have to run some of the systems on premise. That comes with a little bit of extra cost in some cases, but all of those companies are fully aware of that, and it's not a problem.
That's great, and we're rocking through these. What happens when your software encounters conflicting information across internal sources?
It'll ask a training expert, which you name, to tell it which is the right answer or not. And until it gets to that point, if you let it, it'll let the audience pick which one was more helpful. But in some cases, it can identify it and say, like, I need you to give me a tiebreaker for this one here. So there's like an admin, and there'll be trainers. It'll ask a trainer, what should I do in this case?
Very cool. Tom, do you want to take the next one?
Sure. We have a lot of good ones here, Frank. I'm trying to wean out where we can make sure.
By the way, thank you. These are all great questions, by the way. So thank you.
No, absolutely. I know you alluded to this a little bit before, but could you dive in? You said kind of, if at any stage, if you're rapidly growing, that Talla can be applicable. But can you talk about? Let me just hit this. Can you talk about what a typical client looks like? In other words, what types of industries is your product best suited for? I know you alluded to it a little bit before, Frank, but maybe dive in a little deeper for the folks that are listening.
Yes, sure. So I'll say this. It works for anybody with a knowledge and labor problem. But having said that, to be very specific, we're focusing on banking and financial services because it's hard to know what all the products are. I don't know if you've ever called your bank to try to figure out, what kind of savings or investment products you have, and do you offer a mortgage? Try asking that question. That you'll just get transferred around in a lot of cases, and we're working with companies to fix that, because you should be able to interact with sort of a common way of interfacing with the banking and financial services, and those are spaces where people are innovating rapidly these days, of course, right? Logistics. If one thing the pandemic has changed, and it's really, it's completely altered, is the number of delivery trucks you see out every day, right? It's the delivery economy, Instacart, DoorDash, DHL, UPS. Everybody is doing things differently and trying to make their equipment and infrastructure work more. So we're working to optimize those industries, and so that's like, I would say, a second leg. We're working with telecom and sort of call centers, because you can't have a shoulder tap culture anymore, right? Like, those things used to work because I could turn around and tap someone on the shoulder that was really great at their job and say, hey, what should I do here? But now that's gone, and that industry has become sort of serialized. And by that I mean, you have to now get into a queue and wait for somebody good at answering that question to answer your question. So if you can move that over to a distributed knowledge enablement system like Talla, you can get the best answers even when that person's not around. And so we're focusing there because there's a huge opportunity there, right? And so And the other one I sort of hit on was insurance. Insurance sales is pretty tough because people don't know which packages come with what. It's hard for, whenever I do for our own employees, whenever we look to select benefits packages, I can't remember all of the things that come, and I'm part of the team that selects the packages. So even if you work there, just knowing in any specific region what I can get, being able to turn that around and then keep that sale going so that you can get that information back to them on that call dramatically increases your chances of closing that out. They don't go shopping someplace else. So that insurance sector is pretty important to us. And then, like I said, we're just now getting into retail, because retail has a lot of process implications behind it, a lot of supply chain opportunities and process automations there. We're focusing there, but like I said, it'll work anywhere. If you're watching this, not just as an investor, but as a customer, and you think we might be able to help you, give us a ring, give us a call, fill out a form, and we'll try to figure out a way. But those are the main places that we're looking, and it's being driven out of those have the greatest necessity to change. Plus, they have budget. Plus, there's more investment going into those ones now. So for us, it was just us reacting to the best places to deploy our technology. But again, I don't want anyone to think we don't want to help them. So, that's where our biggest wins are coming from right now.
That's fantastic. And I know we're coming up on the end of our time here. There's a bunch more questions, but I think we're probably going to do one more here. But for anyone who didn't have their question answered, we can take them down. You can post them on the Net Capital page, and we'll get them answered for you. And I appreciate everyone being so engaged. It's fantastic. So Frank, to kind of wrap all this up, given that Talla is on Net Capital and you're raising capital, without being too speculative, what are some potential exits, or what's the kind of path for Talla going forward?
All right, so that's a great question. So I'm going to give the CEO answer here and say, right now, our goal is to deliver value to shareholders by driving value for our customers. But at the end of the day, just being honest, like there's a couple things that could happen, right? We could get acquired by someone who sees that we're pushing them so hard that they need to acquire us, otherwise they fall behind, or we push through and try to go public. I mean, those are your options right now, right? And so at the end of the day, those are the options down the road that you strive for. But we're only focusing right now on making lives better for our customers, and that in turn will drive value for our shareholders. I couldn't tell you which one of those we're going down the road for right now, because there's so much opportunity in helping the customers. I think in a little bit I'll probably have some sort of triangulation there, but right now it's just a constant mission from the time we wake up every morning to just make life better and improve the conditions of our customers. And so as long as we keep doing that, I'm positive we're gonna get a great outcome.
Well, that sounds like just a fantastic way to wrap this up. Frank, thanks so much for taking the time to be with us today, answer our questions. They're a great conversation. Tons of interesting stuff came up. Thanks to everyone who attended. As I mentioned before, if you're either watching the recording, it'll be in the description. And if you're here live, it's here in the chat. There's a link to Talla's Net Capital page. You can learn a lot more about the company there. And of course, you can invest if you'd like. Frank, any final thoughts before we sign off?
I just want to say thanks for having us on, and thank you everybody for your great questions, and keep them coming. We're really excited to be in the space, and just keep an eye out, because we have some interesting stuff on the way.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, everybody. We really appreciate it. Take care.
All right. Thank you very much.
Bye, everybody. Bye.